Okay, we've now been joined by Ryan Blaney, driver of the number 12 Team Penske Ford. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to the floor for questions. We will start with Steve.
Steve Post, Motor Racing Network. Ryan, I want to look forward to Darlington. You have a throwback paint scheme, 2006, your dad's Xfinity Series win at Charlotte. Can you describe a little bit about that, and then maybe your memories of that, and then also what it's like for you to represent your dad? Your family's so tight-knit. What it's like to represent your dad at that throwback race?
Yeah, it was neat to get that out there, and I think the car looks pretty good. We couldn't do the avocado green. Where it's blue. I was really pushing to have the avocado texture from that car, but we couldn't do that, unfortunately. But no, it's neat. You know, I think the font of the numbers brings back a lot of memories for people. You know, with the Braun race team, and there was a lot of good people on that team. You know, Trent Owen was a crew chief of that car, and Dad and Trent know each other for a long time. It's always good to see Trent around the racetrack, and I unfortunately wasn't there. None of my family was there, which was bizarre. I think my sister had like a basketball tournament. We were there instead of in Charlotte, and it figures my dad wins it and we don't get to celebrate with him. But no, I've been lucky. We did his Jasper scheme from I think 02 or 03 one year, which was really neat, and now to do that one, meaning a lot to him. It's cool that we can do that stuff. So pretty special, and looking forward to getting it out there. So,
Thank you.
We're going to go to Bob next.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Have you gotten any insight on the engine issue from last week, and if it was similar to what you had earlier this year?
Yeah, you know, we talked through it all week, and RYE, you know, kind of, and Penske and all of us, you know, being in discussions. Hey, what happened? What went wrong? What was the cause of it? And we believe there were separate issues from Phoenix and Homestead. You know, they're working hard on trying to figure out why this issue at Homestead happened. We knew why the one at Phoenix happened. We've kind of figured out that problem, and I think we got our arms around why this one at Miami happened, and hopefully we've taken the correct procedures to kind of make sure it doesn't happen again. It's just unfortunate, you know, 2 out of 3 weeks we have an issue there, but you know, those folks work really hard. I hadn't had an engine failure in a long time, so it's not like it's common with those folks. So just one of those things. That's a bummer, but yeah, I think we have a really good idea of what went wrong, and they're doing all they can to figure out, you know, how can we make that not happen again.
Is there anything that you have to do different inside the car as far as shifting or anything that you do to prevent?
No, it really wasn't a part of that. You know, it's, you know, sometimes it is like you can look at data and be like, well, I really over revved the downshift, but that really wasn't the case. It was a separate issue, and so yeah, we just got to dig into, you know, why this happened. You know, was there a piece that was different or maybe made differently, and they just kind of go back into the order of things, but they did a good job of trying to figure out what it was, and now they're taking big steps to make sure it doesn't happen to any other Fords out there.
Let's go to Lee, Chris, and then Reed.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. You felt the need to support Daniel Hemrick through yesterday and go to victory lane. How tough has his journey been? Because, you know, either you make it, you get the right breaks, and you end up at the Cup Series, or you take a step back and try to figure it out.
Yeah, you know, Daniel's a good friend of mine. He and I grew up racing a lot with each other on the Legend Car side, and you know, we got to spend a lot of weekends on the NASCAR side together in different series, and I was happy for him to get the win last night. Was happy his family was there, which was really neat to have your family there. So, yeah, I mean, he's been through a lot. You know, he's been through, you know, ups and downs of, you know, getting chances and them just not working out, and you know, him trying to find, okay, what's the best way that I can find a good home that I can be competitive and go win at and contend for championships. And I think he's found a really good place there. And then you just hope that that success continues there, and you try to rebuild back up to where you want to be. So he's had a lot of adversity thrown his way in his career, but he's never given up. Like, he's just always been a gritty guy, and always done what he's needed to do to be successful. So it's always refreshing when you see, like, really good guys, you know, who maybe have not gotten great chances, have kind of jumped around series, then go win races and be successful. So I was really happy for him, and it helps that he's a good friend of mine too. So, and I think everyone likes seeing the backflip. Like, we haven't seen a backflip in a while, so it was nice to see that. But yeah, he's fought through a lot, and it's nice to see it all paid off last night.
We'll go to Chris next.
Chris Weaver, WGHP Fox 8, Nexstar Media Group. Ryan, looking ahead to Darlington again, how do you mentally prepare for that tough track to make sure you can get through whatever it throws at you and get to the end of the race to then have hopefully a shot at the win?
Yeah, it is a tough place. I think it's one of the toughest places that we go. More mentally than anything for me, I think. Like, how do you stay in it for that long? I just feel like the mental mush that your brain is in after leaving that race is just, pretty high, because, your concentration level is at, 110% the whole time. Some places you can kind of get into these zones of kind of like a relaxation mode, to an extent of just kind of getting in your flow and doing things. And some of that is at Darlington, but I feel like every lap is just a battle, to try to find speed and not find the fence. And I kind of relate it to Homestead in a way, but Homestead is a lot wider. You have more room for error unless you're pinned on the fence. But Darlington, it just sneaks up at you more, and there's less room to work. So I think that's what makes that place so difficult. And the two ends being vastly different is definitely a challenge there. So I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't thought much about Darlington. I have 100% of my mind on this weekend, and then Monday morning, I'm going to switch to Darlington. But, yeah, it is a tough place mentally and physically, too. It wears you out. But, yeah, it's just how do you survive the whole thing, and how do you not put yourself in terrible positions to where it can hurt your night. So I haven't finished a race at Darlington in about a year either, so I hope to do that.
We're going to go to Jordan, Reed, and then Claire in the back. Just so everyone knows, we only have a few more minutes with Ryan, so I'll try to get to as many of you as I can.
Two questions for me. Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This is race 7 of the schedule. Is now the time when you start realizing who the pretenders and contenders are and who the guys are really going to be here for the duration of the regular season, or are we still kind of sorting that out over the next however number of weeks?
I think you can get a really good feed on it, after Bristol, like going into the Easter break, because you get through a lot of tracks, in that span of time, a lot of different variations of racetracks and things like that. So I'd say give it a few more weeks.
I know the sample size is small on this, but what is the art of racing on a wet track on an oval?
You saying it's going to rain Sunday?
Just asking questions.
Are you on that boat?
I'm not on that boat. Just preparing.
Racing on a wet track on an oval. Yeah, we've had some experience with it the last couple years. It is always a little bit different, right, when you go to these new places that it could potentially rain at that you haven't been to in the rain, like here. And I think this would be the first place that we've gone, if it does rain, of like concrete and asphalt surfaces. So it's like, all right, how does that? Concrete always dries faster than asphalt, so the corners are going to get dry really quick. I think the truck race like last year was that way, and or 2 years ago, and the corners were completely dry, and the straightaways had a little bit of water still on them. So it's like, how does that play into it? So it could get exciting. Do I hope it rains Sunday? No. I like this place enough in the dry that I hope it just is more of a traditional race, but you got to be prepared for everything. But I don't know if it'll change up much. Like, you still want to go for the concrete. I think it would just be, and it'll be a little bit easier to see what concrete patches are dry. Like, sometimes it's hard to tell on asphalt. The asphalt's dark, and it's hard to kind of make that judgment. But the concrete, you'll be able to tell right away. So, yeah, it'll be the same for everybody. So you just hope you do it better than everybody else.
We're going to go to Reed, Claire, and then Jermaine, and we have a few final questions in the front.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. You've been consistently good here, whether the Gen 6 car or the Gen 7 car. Other people have had mixed results, either were good in Gen 6, not in Gen 7, or like Larson found the key to this place when they changed the car. Did you have to do anything different with the car change in terms of your approach to the track, the way you drove it? Did it make a difference?
Yeah, it definitely did. I think everyone had to change their style up a little bit when you went from the previous car to this one. Just same for everywhere, right? You kind of had to change it up of how you approach each place and how you race it. And I don't know which one I prefer here more. I feel like like this place has gotten better with this car with the soft tire. I think we've been able to move around more. I didn't think with the old car, like the second lane wasn't as, there as much as it is with this car. And I think that's just more on Goodyear getting softer and softer and laying rubber down to where you can move around. But I also think the other car was a little bit better in dirty air, to where you didn't have to have that second lane. So it's just kind of trade-offs. But, yeah, I know you're shifting a lot. I mean, you're shifting 4 times a lap around here. So that's definitely changed the way you kind of got into the corner and approached the center speed of it. So, yeah, I definitely had to change up. I just got fortunate that what I kind of came here with my mindset, it worked with this car, with how I changed up from the Gen 6 car. So, yeah, we've had good runs here. You just continue to try to keep having them.
Go ahead, Claire.
Claire B. Lang Media. I want to ask you about the restarts here and, kind of the secret to watch for the fans on the restarts. We talk about spinning tires, people pushing from the back, that sort of thing. Can you take us through it?
Yeah. You'll sometimes get the occasional 3-wide dive bomb you have to watch for. And then it's just a matter of, obviously like the bottom is preferred, but am I going to give up a row to choose the bottom? That's like a game time decision, and it's kind of all about how has the top been in this race. You kind of try to notice those things on restarts. I talk with Timmy a lot about, okay, what has kind of been dominant. Has 8th been better than, 7th, or, should I choose 9th instead of 8th? Is that going to play out for me well? So it just kind of depends. Taking chances and seeing what lanes have worked. So it's the choose rule here is pretty tough. It's pretty difficult of what you want. All the short tracks are, because you know what you want, but you don't really want to give up much, if you want to get in the preferred lane. So, but yeah, restarts can be pretty crazy, and then the stack ups like halfway in the field are pretty big. You just gotta be ready for that. But yeah, and then like I said, you never know who's gonna throw it in there 3 wide and mess it all up for you.
Let's go to Jermaine next, and then we're going to come to our right side of the room.
Jermaine Farrell with WFXR Fox. Ryan, it's great to see you as always, sir. You drove for the Wood Brothers. They're celebrating their 75th anniversary. I got to ask you, what is the biggest thing you took for them to help you with your career overall? And just any other fond memories you have with them?
Yeah, I mean, the fondest memory I have is winning Pocono with those guys. I think, I don't know, what I took from that whole family, really, it was just, Eddie said something to me when I went to Penske going into 18, and it just kind of lets you know how they operate over there. It's, he told me, he's like, even though you're not driving for us anymore, you're still part of our family. I said, oh, they're just open-armed people. If no matter what history you have with us, if you were working with us for a day, 30 years, you're part of the Wood family. And that really, I think, said a lot. I think that's why they've been around for 75 years, is just because they're great people who have been revolutionary in the sport and have also molded with the times. Don't burn any bridges. Everyone wants to work with those guys. So I have a lot of fond memories with them, and it was so much fun racing for those guys and just seeing how they operate, from Eddie and Len and Leonard, and when Glenn would come to the races, it was pretty neat just to be like in their presence and be racing for a team that has meant so much to the sport and has meant so much to, the sport has meant so much to their family as well. No one's going to be around for 75 years if they don't really care about what they do and they don't love it with a passion. And I think that speaks volumes to the dedication that they have to racing and NASCAR. And, yeah, pretty special people. So it was cool to see them win, a couple weeks ago in Vegas. I was really happy for them and Josh. And, they're going to keep at it, keep going. And that's how they do things.
We're going to go right there. Yep, go ahead.
Ryan Eric Johnson, WSLS, NBC, Roanoke. I don't know if this place has ever necessarily been intimidating for you, but to consider you to be one of the drivers that's kind of figured this place out, or at least in my mind, what's it like coming back to a track like Martinsville, knowing you've had success and you kind of know where and how to qualify now?
Well, it's always nice to come back to places where you've ran well. Gives you a little bit more of a sense of confidence and like, okay, I kind of know what I need to be fairly decent here or contend for, top 5 or the win. It wasn't always that way. I mean, I was terrible here my first 2-3 years at it, and we worked really hard at figuring it out, and it just kind of clicked one day. And then it's funny how those things stick with you when you're like, oh, okay, this is the mindset I have to have coming into here, and it's just kind of stuck. So I do like coming here for multiple reasons. On-track success is one thing. The other one is growing up not too far from here, so does mean a lot. But yeah, it's always nice when you come to places you've been good at, and you just hope to keep that up. Like I don't expect to run good here. You never know how years are going to change, or you try something that's not going to work. You know, that stuff happens all the times. But it's just a matter of, you know, your mindset going in. It makes you feel a little bit more at ease, but you're never overconfident. Like, oh, I'm for sure going to run towards the front of this thing, just because you can't really have that because you never know what's going to happen.
We're going to wrap with our final question.
David Meadows, Star News, Martinsville, Virginia. Ryan, what's one of the things that you love about Martinsville Speedway that makes it unique from any other track that's on the circuit?
I think from the fan aspect side of it, you know, I came here a lot as a kid and watching, and it was a fun atmosphere. I loved it so much as a kid because you could see everything. You can see, you know, no matter really where you sit in the stands, you can see at least 3/4 of the racetrack. So that was always unique to me and fun, that there was racing going on anywhere you looked. There was never like a break in action. There was battles going on everywhere. So as a kid in the stands, you just look around the racetrack. If the leader was 2 seconds ahead, well, you're going to have a battle for 2nd or 5th or 10th or 20th. There's always going to be something going on. That just kind of fascinated me. So it gave you a little bit different snippets of the race that you could watch in the stands. So, and I think that's what makes it special for the fans to come out and watch. At least that's what I took away from it as a kid. And then, you know, the racing side is what it is. I love the racetrack. It puts on good shows, and you know, there's no other place like it on our circuit. There's a lot of short tracks around the country like it, in its own way, shaped like it, but not necessarily races like it. But I think it just puts on a great race for fans, and that's why everyone here is very dedicated to Martinsville Speedway, and that's why I think you hear most of the drivers say that they love it too, just because it not only the history behind it, but the on-track shows that it puts on too. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you
Thanks,
so
everybody.
much for spending time with us, and good luck this weekend.